All right, let's talk about something we literally do every single day, paying with a card. We're going to break down that lightning fast journey your money takes, from the moment you tap your card to when the store actually gets paid. Let's dive in. So you tap your card, you hear that little beep, and boom, you grab your coffee and go. But have you ever stopped to wonder what really just happened? I mean, what kind of crazy, complex dance of data and money just took place in like 2 seconds? Yeah, it feels like magic, right? Like it's instantaneous. But it's not. It's actually a super structured, incredibly fast process. The best way to think about it is like a journey with four really distinct and, trust me, very important parts. So here's the roadmap for our journey. We've got 4 steps. First, there's authorization. Then comes clearing. After that, we have settlement. And it all wraps up with funding. Okay, let's break down what each of these really means. Okay, first up, pillar number 1, authorization. This is basically the green light. It's that first moment where the whole system checks to see if you're, actually good for the money. So what is authorization really? Well, at its core, it's just a promise. That's the key word. It's your bank, we call them the issuer, telling the coffee shop's bank, hey, we guarantee this payment. It's like a digital handshake, a really important one that happens before any actual money changes hands. Now, to get that promise, your transaction data has to go on this insane high-speed sprint. Seriously, just imagine a relay race where the baton is all your purchase information. It gets passed from one runner to the next at just, incredible speed. And that path for the data baton, it's super precise. It kicks off at the merchant's terminal, right? Then it goes to their bank, which is called the acquirer. From there, it zips through the card network, like Visa or MasterCard, and it finally lands at your bank, the issuer. And that's who gives the final thumbs up or thumbs down. And the wild part? This all happens in about 1 second. Just wow. And this is maybe the most important thing to get right now. This is the critical part to remember. Authorization is just the approval. It's just that guarantee. The key point is no money has moved. Not a single cent. It's still just a digital promise. All right, so once that promise is locked in, we can move on to pillar number 2, clearing. A good way to think of this is as the final tally. This is where all the accounting for the day really kicks into gear. So clearing is pretty much the paperwork phase, the administrative step. It's where all the details for every single transaction from that day get double-checked and finalized. And importantly, this is also where all those little fees that make the system run, you'll hear them called interchange fees, are all calculated and sorted out. And what kicks this whole thing off is something called batching out. Basically, at the end of the day, the merchant bundles up all of those approved promised transactions into one giant file. They send that file back through the network, and that's their way of saying, okay, I'm ready to get paid now. And that signal, that brings us to the main event. Pillar number 3, settlement. This is the big one. If authorization was the promise, settlement is the moment the money actually starts to move. Yeah, settlement is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the official behind-the-scenes exchange of money between the banks. This is it. This is the moment that promise from way back in the authorization step finally gets fulfilled. So after the merchant sends in that batch, your bank, the issuer, goes ahead and sends the actual funds over to the merchant's bank, the acquirer. And just like that, the debt is officially settled, at least between the banks. But hold on, we're not quite done. The journey isn't over. See, the money is now with the merchant's bank, but it's not actually in the merchant's account yet. And that's where our 4th and final pillar comes in, funding, or as I like to call it, the merchant's payday. Funding is that final mile. It's the last step. This is simply when the acquirer, remember that's the merchant's bank, takes the money it just got during settlement and finally deposits it right into the merchant's business account. But, and this is a big but for the merchant, there's a catch. They don't get the full amount. Nope. By the time that money finally lands in their account, a whole bunch of different fees for the banks and the card networks have already been taken out along the way. So let's say you spent $100. The merchants, they might only see, $97.50 show up in their account. That $2.50 difference? Well, that's the cost of convenience. Those are the fees that make this whole 4-pillar system work. Okay, so why did we just walk through all of that? Why does this journey matter? Well, because understanding the difference between the promise and the payment, It's just so important, especially if you're anywhere near the world of finance. Look, if you take away only one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. Authorization, that's the promise, the guarantee. No money moves. Settlement, that's the actual payment. That's when the funds really move between the banks. Getting that distinction down is absolutely crucial. So let's recap the 3 big takeaways, okay? Number 1, authorization is a guarantee, not the payment itself. Number 2, settlement is when the banks actually swap the funds. And number 3, the merchant never gets the full amount. They get paid a net amount after fees. And all this leaves us with one final question to chew on. We've seen the 4 pillars, we know there are fees, we know there are all these different players involved in every single tap. So now that you know how it all works, who do you think this really complex system benefits the most? It's something to think about the next time you tap to pay. Thanks for joining me.